Welcome, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Wednesday, April 30th, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? First two cards we're starting. Ooh, that's nice. First two cards we are starting our day off with today are the Two of Swords in its reversal in combination with the Eight of Cups in its reversal. And I like this because this is saying to me, all of this work that we're seeing right now is fortifying. And it feels like it's fortifying in the realm of working towards energetic, and this is why it's going to feel a little bit rough right now. These two cards in combination are trailblazing energy. And I want you to think about trailblazing. Like, what is, we throw the term trailblazing around very willy-nilly, but you have to think about the fact that when you're trailblazing, right? When you're carving a path of intention for yourself, it's not easy, right? It's rough. You have to be ready to navigate a lot of those bumps, a lot of those hurdles, right? This is what we talk about a lot as it relates to tenacity and conviction. Taurus can help us a lot with these lessons because a lot of the lessons that Taurus come here to learn have to do with having to learn that if you want to be tenacious, you have to be able to navigate difficulty, right? It's rough terrain when we're trying to trailblaze, when we're trying to push through, when we're trying to carve out a path, right? You have to hold that vision intact, and then you move forward through something come what may, right? This is often why we talk about the fact that if our egos are too fragile, we often don't get anywhere, right? Because if you got a fragile ego and you're trying to trailblaze and do something, the first time you're knocked off your axis, you go, oh, I'm not doing that anymore, right? You just go running away. Oh, that hurt. Oh, I go and you go chasing away. You have to build, working through creating something is an endurance exercise, right? It's not about skipping down. It's not about skipping down a lane. It's about understanding and working through the rigor of what it takes to get from one place to another. And it's not easy. And that's why I keep on seeing that's to a certain extent how some of this Leo Mars energy in combination with Venus moving into Aries, in combination during Taurus season, it's giving me a lot of it's a rough job, but somebody's got to do it, right? Because that's often how we feel when it comes to our manifestations, right? It's finding the ability to whistle as you work as you do so, right? Because we see this, we're going to talk about these Taurus lessons, because here's the thing with Taurus lessons, and this is often you can predicate the difference between a happy Taurus and a sad Taurus in the fact that as to whether they say things are groovy or if they're fuming, right? If a Taurus is grooving, then a Taurus is happy because it's fun. It's finding, right? What's the difference? And this is all Mercury coming back into focus. What's the difference between a groove and a rut, right? Everything that we do, it's finding that syncopation, it's finding that pace, it's finding that vibration in yourself that says, I could do this forever. I love this song, right? So when we're in that space, we feel, and this is often what you see with this is why you see a happy Taurus or a not so happy Taurus. You see the Taurus that has worked on understanding and finding that ability to kind of move into the groove space, which is one that works through adaptability that leads one into a deeper sense of comfort. But what happens? What do you see? We've all encountered them. Have you ever seen the ups? There's nothing worse than a sad Leo. There's nothing worse than a sad Taurus, because when a Taurus feels like they're in a rut, right? It's that it starts to, it builds into that fuming, right? It builds into that frustration. It builds through the slog, right? That energetic heaviness. And that's because all of the work that we do when we're navigating Taurus season has to do with understanding the lessons of majesty, right? And majesty is one, it's like it's a dense energy, right? But it's also heavy. But what happens when you're able to carry heaviness with grace? When you carry heaviness with grace, right, it looks effortless. That's why, again, that's why when we see majesty, we bow to them, we show the shoulders, because it is in honor of the energetic weight that someone is carrying. Right? It is the ability to carry something that almost looks like it's effortless, right? And so this is often the work that those with Taurus placements come here to work through. But at the same time, and I keep on seeing this, there's a lot of this work that has to be navigated right now in relationality to the difference between tenacity and stubbornness, right? What is the difference between tenacity and stubbornness? Well, when we feel tenacious about something, our heart's in it, right? You're like, no, this is important, right? We hold on to something because we articulate the meaning it has, right? Like, I'll never stop talking about this because it's a lot of that ability. That's what we mean with heart opening, right? Tenacity is often heart opening because it feels very vulnerable. But you're being vulnerable because it's the force of your care that becomes its own battery. Now, what is stubbornness? Stubbornness and tenacity are often confused with each other. Stubbornness, you can usually tell the difference between something that is tenacious and something that's stubborn. Because when you're stubborn, you're usually being bitter about something. Right? You're not holding on to something because it's important, because it propels you forward. You're holding on to it because you get stuck. Like you're like, and often we can tell when the ego is sometimes moving too much. Like the ego likes to get stubborn about things, right? Because the ego is the energetic defense mechanism of the self. So sometimes we often have to have those moments that we have to look at something that the ego is holding on to, right? And be like, what is in your hand? And like, I don't want to let go. I know, but I need to see what's in. No, right? Because often we have to go through these moments where we understand. And this is what I keep on seeing. There's a lot of this work around like ego checking, which is recognizing what it is that we hold on to understand if it's something that we are energetically tenacious about, right? Something that our heart is really connected to, or something that's holding us back, right? Something that is acting as an energetic block, something that feels like, it creates that feeling of licking the wounds or works in that space of energetically fuming. Right. And so I keep on seeing that there's a lot of this work that's happening here. And this is what's allowing for a lot of the differences that we're seeing across the frequencies as these same lessons are being navigated. Now let's talk about how it's affecting the frequencies in kind. Center card for today's spread. Wow. Ace of Cups in its reversal. I'm not surprised to see this card right now because if you'll recall, where were we yesterday? Pulling up yesterday's signs. This card, oh my goodness. Guys, please, if you're listening to the podcast, go check out yesterday's spread. This is the exact same card in the exact same position, in the exact same direction that we had yesterday. This is exactly what I mean with tenacity right now. And I see a lot of energy right now going through a heart opening. And this is why I'm going to tell you right now, the energy coming into divine union, this might be the most difficult space to be right now. Because when we talk about heart opening, and I need to stress this, heart opening energy, like working to heal the heart chakra, it's not that everything in there is good, right? That we store a lot of pain. We store a lot of pain there. And this is why, if we've got a bunch of energy right now coming into divine union, and the energy is going, if everything's fine, why do I feel like I'm going mad, right? This is why. Because what happens, right? What happens when we come into a place of stabilization, when we reach a level of stability that we never had before, the unconscious body has been storing trauma up until that point. And when the body finally feels that it's in a place that it's safe, it goes, oh, good, release. Like open the gate, open the gates. And all of those things start flooding to the surface. This is often why we talk about the fact that we don't heal from trauma to make room for more trauma. We heal from trauma to be able to handle the joy when it arrives, because it's only in that moment that we experience the joy that the trauma finally feels ready to be energetically released via the heart opening. So that's why I keep on seeing that. What is the energy right now? Those chariot partnerships we talked about that were forming just a few weeks ago, rising into divine union. What are they doing? They're not projecting it on each other, right? They're holding each other. They're holding the frequency that they found in the stabilization by not projecting the trauma that is opening up in the heart opening onto each other, but articulating through it, right? I told you, Taurus cycle, combination work between heart and throat chakra, communicating through it instead of reacting to it, that allows one to stabilize and heal from it, right? Because when we start projecting, what do we do when we project? When we start releasing trauma and we project the trauma, we start acting the trauma out. So this is why we keep on seeing that the stabilization point of the energy coming into divine union is being identified by their capacity to navigate healing the trauma, not through activation, but via communication. Not easy, right? But also, again, we're in Taurus season. Everything's about endurance exercises, okay? Now, and that's why I keep on saying, like, if you're feeling this right now, coming into divine union, you're fine. I want you to say to yourself, you're fine. You're not, you're like better out than in, but don't make sure you're not projecting it onto counterpart. Coming into divine union, energy deep within divine union, right? A lot of this work that we're seeing right now, for a lot of the energy coming deep within divine union right now, this is what I keep seeing in relationality to the fact that the energy deep within divine union is going through, I keep on seeing a lot of like Taurus Gemini work, which is saying to me it's a lot of temperance work, because that's the energy that says that it's working through the paradox of a lot of the Taurus lessons. And the paradox of the Taurus lesson is that the only way one can move into comfort, your ability to find comfort is equally proportional in how much discomfort you can navigate. Because, and this is hard. This is hard for Taurus to learn, because Taurus, it's hard for them to find comfortability. So once Taurus find comfortability, they really don't like to leave it. Right? But that's the irony of it. You have to leave your comfort zone to find new comfort zones. And also, we talk a lot about the fact here that, like, again, healing isn't just about feeling cozy all the time. Right? If you're in a healing journey and you're like, yeah, I just do what feels good all the time. That's not healing. That's spiritual bypassing. Okay. Like, that's not like, if you just say to me, I'm healing. Yeah. I just avoid anything uncomfortable. No. That's not healing. That's indulging. Okay. That's not healing. It's not healing. That's indulging, right? We do the work of healing by looking at uncomfortable situations and not turning our nose up from them, right? But saying, what can I do? What can I do to try to resolve something? What can I do to try to make something better? What can I do to see how I can affect the temperature? What can I do to try to bring something into a state of betterment, right? And when we talk about, and this is what we mean, that's often misunderstood when it comes to non-attachment. Non-attachment doesn't mean you don't care about things. It means you don't care about things that aren't important. For instance, the conversation we've been having about surrender, right? Identifying and recognizing and saying to the higher self, show me what is important. And show me what I need to let go of that is limiting me from moving towards that pathwork of the higher self. It's not just saying, I don't care about anything. It's great. I'm just on a spiritual journey. I don't care about the world at all. What are you doing? Like, that's not a spiritual journey. And so I see that a lot of this energy right now is leaning into the uncomfortability to try to make something energetically better, right? It's working in that space, and it's shoulder energy, right? because it's the energy that says this is something that is important, and we find strength as we move in accordance to it. And often we can tell that we feel that tenacity because we feel weakened and strengthened at the same time, right? It feels like, again, it's like it's moving the energetic muscle of the healthy heart space. While for masculine and feminine energy right now in separation, here are the two cards. And I just need to point out how I just got these two cards. I keep a stone on my table, and I went to go draw the deck, and the two cards were stuck under the stone. The very Taurus reading we're having today. Okay. The next two cards we've got, there it is, right? Everything about the difference between, I keep on hearing stubbornness and tenacity. They look similar. They're very different. Okay. And we're going to talk about this for a minute because I find it really beautiful, the elegance that we've seen in the readings this year. Because you'll recall when we were going through the start of the year, you will remember what were we talking about at the start of the year? Confidence and courage. The cousins, confidence and courage, that look very alike, but they're very different, and you never see them in the same place, because when you have confidence, you don't need courage. And when you have courage because if you had confidence, you wouldn't need the courage, right? We're talking a lot now about the difference between stubbornness and tenacity, right? Stubbornness is the exquisite insistence. It's holding on to something that has meaning. And we can often articulate about the fact that something is important to us because we say, right? And we can, and when we're not feeling certain about whether we're being stubborn or tenacious, we talk to ourselves. We say to ourselves, we say, why is this important? And the higher self, when we're being tenacious, says, sit down. I got something to tell you. We'll talk about this all day. We'll talk about this forever. There's nothing more important, right? But when we're stubborn, what does the ego say? I want it that way. Why? I want it that way. But why? I want it that way. Sounds an awful lot like someone who's insisting. Sounds awful lot like someone who needs to go through the pathwork of surrender, because what happens? When we insist, we cannot see, right? The problem with insistence isn't the fact that we might receive the thing that we insist upon. The fact that when we insist, we fail to see the possibilities of what could be even greater than the thing that we're being so darn rigid about, right? And so I keep on seeing that a lot of that space, or working through that, right? Healing the egoic wounds. This is a lot of the energy in separation. This is why we find a lot of this energy right now in separation, working through the pathwork of the magician energy. Because ironically, the energy in separation is in magician right now, because they're saying absolutely no illusions. Right? This is the energy that's saying, you accept me in my authenticity, because when I'm in my authenticity and I'm being intentional, nothing you see is accidental, right? That is the energy. That is what the presence of majesty is. That is the energy, the majestic force that says, I'm good with myself. Everything you see is the combination of the pathwork that one is built upon. And when we celebrate ourselves, we start to let go of others' expectations for us, because it is the energy that says, right? And this is why I see a lot of this energy right now working through that, trying to heal that, particularly because they're leaving relationships or situations where someone was trying to tell them that either they couldn't move forward on something because they weren't perfect, recognizing that perfect is never something found, right? You don't say to someone, we can do that when it's perfect, because perfect is always outside of the grasp. Or this is energy where someone was coming towards them based on inclination, on whim, right? And so this is a lot of the energy that says, I create intentionally. I bring the intentionality of the self to the relationship. I seek it in counterpart. And together we can create something profound. Continuing to get clarification between our Two of Swords and its reversal in combination with our Eight of Cups and its reversal. One card to clarify. I like her in her upright. We like this. I like this. We didn't see, I have to point out, yesterday, we didn't see a lot of feminine energy out. And I'm not surprised to see the fact, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. I wasn't surprised not to see a lot of feminine energy out yesterday, because what we were effectively identifying was the fact that we've seen the high priestess showing up for days in our reading. And the high priestess is almost like the female hermit card. So we see a lot of that. This is a lot of the feminine energy that has been like going into their mind palace, if you will. Like there's a lot of this. I feel like this new moon energy in Taurus has been allowing for a lot of contemplation. But I like this because I see that that's the contemplation that's moving into the context of activation. And what's beautiful about this, and I feel like that what we're seeing here is the difference of the impact between masculine and feminine energy. And I love this for the energy in separation, because I told you this is the energy. What does it feel like when you're moving into authenticity? What is the song you hear that you often find when you move into the space of your authenticity? I don't care. But and I need to point this out, it's not the energy that's saying I don't care, like I don't care about things. That is the song of surrender that we hear that a lot of the energy in separation is, which is the energy that says, I look like I'm okay like this. I'm just gonna be me, right? It's the celebration of the authenticity that often feels, right? And this is what we talk about with healthy manifestation, right? This is energy that is working into the context of feeling the messiness of the authenticity that's released. But this is what it feels like to feminine, right? This is feminine that feels like they're a hot mess in the process of doing that. And what does the masculine see? A confident masterpiece, right? The sense of the self that embraces the self. That when we love our energy, we become energetically majestic because we embrace our exquisite nature, right? We don't try to be something that we're not. We just become, and I keep on hearing this energy that's saying, I'm going to stop trying. And the higher self says, in that moment of stopping to try, they started to be, right? And that's not giving up. I need to stress this. That's not giving up on the self, right? That's not giving up on the self. That's not like not caring about the self. It's unattachment. It is not caring about outside expectations that are not in alignment with one's own expectations. The wand, right? Identifying what it is, that the standard that one holds oneself to. Masculine doing the same work in separation, healing from the illusion of rejection. This is masculine saying, if rejection is an illusion, if there is a circumstance or situation, and this is the masculine, this is the masculine energy, bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This is the masculine energy, having that breakthrough that says, yeah, guess what? You can get anything you want by pretending to be anybody you want to be. But here's the catch. If you decide to get anything you want by pretending to be anyone you want to be, you have to wear that mask for the rest of infinity. That's what the universe says. If that's what you want, right? This is why we talk about the fact that a healthy manifestation does not require one to disassociate in the process of moving towards it, because then the manifestation becomes a punishment, right? That's when we be careful what you wish for, because if you say, I'll do anything, if you are willing to sacrifice who you are to become something, to attain something, then you have to be in a state of falsehood for the rest of energetic infinity. So that's why we see that for a lot of the masculine energy, this is the masculine energy that's working towards saying to the self, the energy of the counterpart is going to adore me for being me. And if the feminine energy comes towards me and they don't like what they see, hallelujah. Hallelujah, because that is the energetic protection. Because that's a masculine that says, if I know who I am and I am in my authenticity, I become a beacon for my counterpart who can see me and love me there. So that's why we see, I told you, what are both of these energies doing? And this is the masculine going, if I'm open about my feelings, right? If this is a situation where I try to express my feelings and a feminine energy goes, ew, feminine, like, ew, feelings. And the masculine goes, then that's a feminine energy that I would never be able to express my feelings to, right? These are both of these. And this is, again, this is masculine coming almost to feminine like a child, right? Feeling like a child. And what does feminine see? I've never seen someone so confident. I've never seen someone so authentic. I've never seen someone so strong. And both of these energies in their magician, because they're releasing illusion and being able to see one another clearly. Continuing to get clarification for energy coming into divine union between the Eight of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Ace of Cups in its reversal. One card to clarify. Three of Cups in its upright. You know, and I'm telling you right now, like, listen to it, like, this is like for a lot of, and this is why I'm saying right now, if you are coming into divine union right now, if you're part of those chariot partnerships that are coming into divine union and everything is going great and suddenly you feel awful, if suddenly you're saying to me, if you're saying, I don't know what's going on, everything is better than, if everything's better than it ever has been, where is all of this coming from? This is the release of all of the trauma you've been carrying up until this point. And that's why I keep on hearing that's the healing center that happens between the heart and the throat chakra. Because often, and this is what you have to be cautious and conscientious about, when we reach a point of stability and all the trauma starts to come out, it's very important that you don't start projecting it. Because often when the trauma starts coming out, the inclination is to want to start to activate into it. Don't activate upon trauma that is releasing from you. Articulate through it. Because utilizing the heart and throat chakra is the identification point of the difference between dipping into a higher frequency versus falling back out of it when the trauma starts coming out. So that ability of understanding that when we go through a heart opening, the first things we start experiencing is all the pain from the past that we haven't had an opportunity to release, but then finding the stabilization point by speaking it out instead of acting it out. This is the energy that is able to embrace one another through that work. While for masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union, clarification between our Ace of Cups and our King of Swords and its Ace of Cups in its reversal, and combination of King of Swords in its upright, we've got here our Nine of Cups in its upright. This center spread right now, I just want you to go back to yesterday, because yesterday was such a Saturn read that the Saturn energy was so heavy in yesterday's reading. But I need to point this out, and this is what's really beautiful about this. When we push ourselves, right? This is a lot of that journey that we're seeing in relationality to Taurus energy. When we push outside of our comfort zone, we find new pastures of peace. When we push outside of our comfort zone, we find new pastures of peace, right? And so a lot of this work that I'm seeing here, like, this is why I see that for a lot of the energy right now, deep within divine union, like working to that effort, right? Putting, like, I keep on hearing and I keep on hearing it, the reason it's Saturn is also moving into Aries. So it's like ironing things out. It's ironing things out. It's working through the fact that in order to smooth something over, you have to be able to iron something out, right? So that work, like, again, it's hard work, but someone has to do it. Like, it's putting that force of energy to something, even if it isn't easy, because that's when you iron something out, that's how you smooth something over, right? You have to do so. You have to be patient. You have to be slow. Right? And that's why I keep on seeing there's a lot of this work on temperance energy. Continuing to get clarification between our King of Swords and our Page of Wands and its reversal. One card to clarify. Six of Swords in its upright. It's not easy, right? But that's the thing about it. We talk about it. A healthy spiritual journey is not about avoiding hard things. Okay? A healthy spiritual journey is not about avoiding hard things. It's about identifying what it takes when our heart's in something, right? It's working and not being too hard on ourselves in the process. And I see for some of the energy right now, working through this, I can keep on hearing like there's something that's going through all the frequencies right now that says, if you're trying to work towards perfection, you can't be beating yourself up every moment. Right? Like I know you probably don't like me saying that. But if you're going to, you can't, it's not about being perfect. It's doing what you can. Right? And I keep on seeing that for a lot of that work, like identifying what that work is, it's not just, and I keep on seeing the beauty of that occurs is when we find compassion for the self. It's the compassion that we're immediately able to address and immediately able to give to all of those around us, right? And it's not, and I keep on seeing like it's a lot of that, and I keep on seeing the difference, right? And I want to describe this. It's not the fact that there isn't something here. There is some resolution of things that is happening across the frequencies. There are some healings that are happening, particularly in relationships. But I will stress, this is not the healing in relationships that looks at each other and says, let's pretend that never happened. Because what happened what is the guarantee that something will happen again? When someone says, let's pretend that never happened, right? Because you don't heal something by avoiding it, right? You confront it, you navigate through it, you look at what can be done differently, right? You work towards resolution. You work towards the affirmation. And that's why I see that there's a lot of energy right now building into intention, building into new practices, building into new energetic cycles. And they're being patient with themselves because they're understanding that a journey of miles begins with small increments, right? It's not about a giant leap. It's about small steps. Continuing to get clarification between our Queen of Wands and our Three of Cups in its upright. There it is. There's that new ground energy, right? What's the difference between a breakdown and a breakthrough, right? And that's why I think this is important, because if you'll remember yesterday, we had the Tower card up. We had the Tower card up right next to the Ace of Cups in its reversal. And so what's really beautiful about this is we're identifying and recognizing that the difference when we're having a breakdown is we're working on the heart opening, right? When we're having a breakdown, we have the heart opening and we activate through it, right? When we allow the heart opening to activate through it, this is often what is archetypal or described as a breakdown. But when we feel the heart opening, right? But we move it into the space of activating through our heart and our throat chakra, what occurs in that space? A breakthrough, right? Because we talk about non-attachment, and non-attachment does not mean disassociation. Non-attachment does not mean that you stop feeling things. What on earth, in what reality have you ever seen someone go, you know what, it's so great, how you doing? I've never been better. I can't feel a thing. Look at this. No, do anything you want to. I can't feel anything. What? Like that is distressing. That is disturbing. That does not sound okay, right? Our ability to heal is not when we stop feeling things. It's when we are able to separate ourselves from what we are feeling, so we don't come into activating on it, but recognizing and articulating through it. And the reason we need to do this is because we all store trauma. And when we feel energetically triggered, the body's first response is to want to activate. But that's why I keep on hearing that ability of coming into that space is built upon the context of being able to feel something with gravitas and then communicate it with just as much energetic significance, right? And that's a lot of that work that we see, because everything I keep on seeing here across all the frequencies has to do not with the fact that the energy isn't feeling something, Remember, we never stop feeling trauma. We never come into a spin. Like this is why it's always wacky when someone says, yeah, it's great. I'm going to move forward after I start, when the trauma goes away. The trauma never goes away. If you could get rid of trauma, it wouldn't be called trauma. Trauma is sticky pain. It's something that lingers. It's something that we hold on to. It's how we energetically carry it that allows us the proportion to move through it. And that's why we describe majesty as someone who's able to bear the weight, because someone with majestic energy, right, has a lot of responsibility on them, right, the heavy load, but they carry it with grace, right? So this is why we're learning. There's a lot of majestic lessons that we see. There's a lot of lessons right now as it relates to working in the context of majesty. And the first one being that when you feel something significant, you don't react to it, you articulate through it, right? Hence non-attachment. But remembering that non-attachment does not mean not feeling. Continue. And that's happening across all the frequencies, right? Because what happens when we're not feeling? That's the ego. The ego goes, la, 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 la. Continuing to get clarification between our Three of Cups in its upright in combination with our Nine of Cups in its upright. May I please have one card to clarify? Oh, got two cards popping out. Two cards. Woof, there it is. And this is what I'm telling you right now. This is hardest right now for chariot relationships. You'll recall that I said that for the energy right now coming into divine union, this can feel like some rocky terrain, because I just keep on seeing that for the energy coming into divine union right now, this same force is like everything was fine a minute ago. Everything's perfect. Why do I feel like this? Because you're understanding and recognizing pain that you didn't even know you were carrying. Because that's what the heart space does when the heart has to stay closed. The heart goes, we don't have time for this. You can't. No, give me that. Right? The heart goes, nope, absolutely not. Right? The heart does not try to heal on the battlefield. Right? The heart goes, nope, we're going to put this over here, buddy. We can't deal with that right now. Oh, no. We're not, I'll deal with that later. Right? And so that's why this can feel very triggering for energy coming into stabilization point, because the energy suddenly feels stable and goes, if everything's great, why do I feel so, like, where's this coming from? It's coming from the past. You just didn't. And that's why I keep on seeing that as long as and this is why it's really important that the energy right now isn't projecting it out. Because when you project it out, you can fall back into separation, right? The ability to articulate through it and not project it, right? Not to lash it out, but to talk through it is the separation point. I'm going to tell you right now, there might be some circumstances here where energy is feeling that trauma unlocking, and that fear sends them right back into separation, because that's the higher self that says they weren't ready. They just wanted to replay the trauma instead of talk about it. Right? So I just keep on seeing that a lot of that is being worked through right now. And so, but I do see like what's happening here. I keep on hearing, that's why I saw that it's kind of beautiful with this tower energy, because I just keep on hearing, mostly breakthroughs, right? I'm hearing mostly breakthroughs, which is good. Like I'm getting 3 out of 4 ain't bad. I'm getting 3 out of 4 ain't bad. Now, continuing to get clarification for energy deep within divine union, like that's what I keep on, like, for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy working in that context, working through that context to a certain extent, it's giving me a lot of, it is what it is, right? And it's giving me a lot of, like, the only way out is through. Right. It's giving me a lot of that observation of working through the hurdles of the self, working through one's own sense of frustration from the self. But this is why I keep on seeing that there's something absolutely beautiful for the energy deep in connection, because I keep on hearing some beautiful conversations in relationality to the fact that healthy partnership is having a clear mirror. Right? The gift that we have in healthy partnership is when we're too hard on ourselves, right? When we want to beat ourselves up, when we start to feel the crushing weight the crushing weight of our own, like desire to achieve. We have the counterpart that can say, hey, that's you're overly internalizing something. That's something you're experiencing outside of self. This is actually something you could work on within. The calibration, the gift, and this is why it's so important as to be in relationship where we're able to have hard conversations, right? Because what is the true pledge of a hard conversation, which is the energy I keep on hearing, like this is the energy. These are the warrior partnerships that hold each other by the hand and say, I will always be kind, even if something isn't nice. Right? Because when we are kind, we're able to have a hard conversation because we see the perception of the other and we say, I'm giving you something to help you. Right? Whereas when we're working through the context of nicety, like that's often sometimes why, again, if you're too much in a space or you're in a relationship where energy feels like they have to pat around you because they're worried that something that they say will upset you, we often feel like there's no communication in our relationships because the energy, the ego itself creates like a fortress of solitude. Nobody can come towards us because we can't operate in a space of hearing anything that we don't energetically want to hear, right? So that's why I keep on seeing that this is the energy that, and again, this is beautiful because this is a message we heard for the energy in separation that's now coming up to the energy deep within divine union that says, I love you because I love hashing things out with you. I love taking something apart. I love putting it back together again because that is why the energy says with you, I can constantly disassemble in order to reassemble better. And that isn't the energy that again, this is why we say the beauty of non-attaching. The beauty of non-attaching, which is not disassociating, is when we're not attached, when we can feel our emotions and not react to them. They give us the gift and counterpart connection where we can hash things out in order to constantly disassemble, in order to reassemble. We're moving into Gemini season. This is going to become really important soon. Continuing to get clarification for the energy and separation between our 9 of Cups in combination with our 6 of Swords in its reversal. One card to clarify. There it is, our Death card. And we're going to be talking about this card in our next tarot class, which one card to clarify. There it is, our Death card. And we're going to be talking about this card in our next tarot class, which is happening on Wednesday, May 14th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. You can join our Tarot Church Substack as a paid subscriber if you'd like to take a part in that class. A lot of energy here in relationality to transformation. A lot of energy here in relationality to working in the context of what one can change. And I'm telling you right now, the beauty that's happening for a lot of the energy in separation, and we talk about this here. One of the signs that you're moving towards a manifestation is you get the ick, right? Often moving towards a manifestation isn't about becoming something that you're not. It's letting go of what's not energetically serving you. So this is energy that's moving towards counterpart. And what are they saying as they do so? I'm sick. What are they sick of? I'm sick of trying to be something that I'm not. I'm sick of trying to trying to be performative to keep another person's interest. I'm sick of experiencing relationships where someone isn't investing the effort that is required to build consistency. And this is the energy that is reminding themselves that it is not that having something energetically consistent is not a need to have. It is not a nice to have. It is a need to have. Because when we are in the space, when we're in the energetic space of building into partnership, something that is good but inconsistent is worse than something that is bad all the time. Because when something is good and inconsistent, you're constantly hoping it will get better, but you never see any reason that it will, and you never want to leave for fear that it might. And so this is a lot of the energy that remembers and is reminding themselves as they're moving out of separation. You can never give consistency to inconsistency and expect it to create consistency. All you do when you feed consistency to inconsistency is you reaffirm another person's desire to be inconsistent. You can't put consistency to inconsistency and expect it to change. You nail it in you put it in concrete. Like all you're doing is putting it in concrete, right? Like why? Like it's perfect. And this is often why we have those like the unhealthy balanced relationship where someone's going, why won't something change? And another person's going, this is excellent, right? Healthy manifestation. And this is why I see that this is the energy that's saying, in order to move towards what is for me, if I want a consistent relationship, the solution to that isn't to stick around in an inconsistent relationship and go, please, please, please turn this into something that it's not. Please, please, please. Why isn't my manifestation acting like my manifestation? It's recognizing the way you find something is to figure out where it's not. It's not sitting around and waiting for a rock to become a tree. Manifestation isn't the act of transformation. It is the act of moving in accordance with alignment. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy, recognizing and identifying that fact, this is the energy that says, in order to move towards what is for me, I have to be prepared of letting go what is not. And that doesn't mean a person. It means if I am seeking energetic consistency with someone and someone is not showing up in a consistent way, I don't stick around and continue to like push on them. I articulate what I need, and if it's not them, I move in accordance with it. So I just keep on seeing that this is a lot of the energy. This is why there's so much of this energy right now that is right like in their authenticity. Because this is the energy that's saying that the ability to ask should be met with need. And the minute that it feels like one is nagging another person for something, it is the identification point of the resistance between what another person is giving versus what you're asking for. And I keep on hearing the energy right now in separation saying, my counterpart will not require me to nag to move into manifestation. They'll just want the same things that I do, right? This is the energy that says, if I'm nagging, if it feels like I'm nagging, it's because I'm asking someone for something that they don't want to give me, right? And so that's why we see that there's a lot of that energy that says, like, that's working towards their manifestation, and they're saying the proper thing that we say when we move towards a healthy manifestation goal to the universe, which is not gimme, it's help me see. Help me see what I have to change about myself. Help me see what I have to let go of. Help me see what I need to get better at, right? It's not about demanding outside. It's about working on the inside, continuing to get clarification between our 3 of Pentacles in its reversal, our 4 of Cups in its upright, and our Chariot card in its reversal. 1 card to clarify. And this is why I'm telling you right now that the energy of in separation is in Magician energy. Because the simple truth is, yeah, listen, you want that person who's not paying a lot of attention to you? Yeah, sure, you can have it. You have the relationship. This is the condition of it, right? And we can have anything we want. The question is not what it is that we arrive towards. The question is the conditions by which we receive it. And that's why I see even now that feminine and masculine working through that space, honoring the self. A healthy manifestation is not one that requires you to disassociate as you move closer towards it. And that's a feminine that says, if I'm moving towards my manifestation and I have to beg for the things that I want, if it feels like every step doesn't feel like a celebration, it feels like I'm pulling teeth, well, great, it's going to be great. I'm going to have my manifestation. It's just going to feel like I'm in a dentist office the whole time, right? Instead of at a party. Congratulate. And the universe says, if you insist, you can have it. There it is, right? Masculine, same thing. Masculine, moving towards feminine. They don't like me for who I am. Oh, I can pretend to be someone else. Sure, yeah, you can. That's great. Now you're whoever this is. You just keep this up forever. You just live a relationship where you have a mask on for the rest of time, and you can have that. And this is why, again, What is this energy doing as they're working to heal the ego and come towards each other in authenticity? When we let go of what we expect, when we say to the universe, this is what I'm looking for, surprise me, we can find the things that are for us. It doesn't require us to change who we are. It requires us to become more embodied in ourselves. It becomes more responsible. It becomes more in tune with opening up our heart space. And when we do so, we allow for that disrobing of the false self that allows the true counterpart to see us. Continuing to get clarification between our Four of Cups in combination with the Chariot in its reversal, in combination with the Death card. Now, this is why I'm like, for the energy right now coming into divine union, this is very difficult, because you can see even now, the energy coming into divine union, I just see them saying, I have never felt so held. Why am I falling apart? You just answered your own question, my love. If I have never have felt so held, why am I falling apart? What are the counterparts saying? You've been holding on to that for a really long time, haven't you? And that's why, as long as we go through the heart opening and we don't lash out, we don't react to it, we don't let the trauma dictate how we respond, but we articulate through what we're feeling. We allow someone to hold us in that embrace that allows us to stay consistent in the arrival into the force of energetic balance. And that's why I'm telling you right now, if you're going through this right now and you're coming into divine union, activate your heart and throat chakra. Don't act it out. Don't lash out. Articulate through it. Don't react to it. Allow yourself to be held in the embrace of the consistency that you're creating with counterpart. Final card for today's spread, between our Six of Cups in combination with our Strength card in its reversal for the energy deep within divine union. There it is, Four of Wands in its reversal. It's not about the ideal. Ideal is made. It's not found. The ability, the irony, and we're working through this a lot, like these are all the Taurus lessons, right? You want the way you find ideal. Ideal is made. It's never found, just like perfect. We went through going through that Virgo full moon, right? We went through that Virgo full moon during the eclipse cycle, remembering like perfect is a cardinal direction. It's not a location. Ideal is not found. It's created. We build ideal with our own hands. We work with what we have. We create ideal is made in less than ideal circumstances, because it's not about waiting for ideal. It's about creating ideal from where you stand, right? Making it work. And that's why I keep on seeing that this is why the energy deep within divine union says to one another, my love for you is expansive, because in the moment that we embrace each other for who we are, right? Navigating that space. And this is why you can see all of these energies arriving in these points at the same time. This is the energy that says that when we are adaptable, we have energetically everything, because we build into the space of gratitude, right? We don't come into the point of comparison. We don't over focus. We build into that sense. And I just keep on seeing the energy in divine union saying to each other, every day we begin again. Every day is a new energetic start. Every day, it's not about arriving somewhere. It's about incrementally moving in the direction that we aspire to go. And that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of that energy, the reason that they say that to one another is I keep on hearing the energy deep within divine union that says it's a joy to build with you. Because when we've done the work on healing our egos to build into partnership where we don't take things personally, right? Where we can have hard conversations, but we get pragmatic in that hardness instead of getting defensive, then we build into the space of non-attachment that allows us to disassemble and reassemble constantly in the context of partnership. So I see even now that a lot of the energy right now is It's in temperance, but it's moving into Gemini. It's moving more into the space of understanding. The ability to take things apart and make them better is completely in direct proportion with our own ability not to work through the space of taking things personally, but getting energetically practical. Bottom of the deck on these readings, we have here, there it is, the Three of Wands in its reversal. This is what we always need to be conscientious of and energetically avoid in our relationships. We always fear that this is going to occur, and this is why it's really important that we don't get energetically reactive in the space that we feel our emotions, right? Because when we feel our emotions in a way that we are reactive, then energy doesn't want to come to us with their problems, right? We don't want to burden each other. When it feels like, this is why we say honoring the feelings isn't just being emotional all the time, right? Because when you're too energetically emotional and another person has emotions, they say, I don't want to put more weight on you, right? You're having a hard time as it is. You're having a hard time as it is. Like, this is the thing. If it looks like, if you're in the space where it feels like you're struggling over your own emotions, energy is afraid to articulate and communicate with you because they don't want to give you more weight than you can energetically carry, right? So this is why we often work on being able, like the majesty, right? And when we're able to carry our emotions but not collapse under the weight of them, we become energetically majestic. And what is that? What is majesty? What does majesty say unconsciously to everyone around them? More weight. More weight. And this is why we feel safe in the embrace of majesty, right? Because when we have energy around us that is able to navigate their own emotions with a state of energetic composure, right? Not being reactive, then it allows for the context of us feeling safe to come to another with our feelings, right? Because it doesn't feel like someone will collapse under the weight of them. It's the energy that almost says, I'm strong enough to carry it. So we see even now that there's difficulty here, because for some of the energy across all of the frequencies, it's working through the paradox of energy, often energy that, and we talk about this here, honoring the emotions is not just is not just feeling your emotions and making it everyone else's problem all the time. That's being emotional. That is saying, I have a hard time. I can't carry these. This is an outside problem. It's not an inside problem, right? But when we come into the space, right, and we're all working on it. Like, look, we all have our moments, right? We're all gonna have our moments with Aries season. It's not that we're perfect in this, okay? It's not that we're perfect, but we work towards it, right? We try to raise the roof in terms of what it is that we can carry energetically, because when we are able to navigate our emotions in ways that we're able to keep our back straight, right? When we're able to feel a lot and just communicate through it instead of react to it, what we basically say to everyone around us, our love comes in the form of saying, bring it on, come in. I can take it. Bring it in, right? Bring it in. I have enough room to hold it. And so I see that is how we share weight with one another, because we effectively are able to amplify and articulate that force. And so I just keep on, and the difficulty is often when energy is too much in a space of emotionality, it becomes earmuffs because others need to circumnavigate around you, right? Instead of coming towards you. And then that's those moments where sometimes it creates collapse because you think everything is perfect, but everyone's just terrified of you, right? So that's why we do this work, is so we feel like it's the context of understanding and recognizing. I told you the difference between stubbornness and tenacity is not working into a place of being energetically. Often when energy's stubborn, and this is the sad part, often when energy's stubborn, the song they hear is you're perfect. But it's not that they're perfect. It's just everyone's scared. Right? It's like everybody's scared. It's like, it's like, meh, but, and so when we're working in that context, like when we're building into the space of that, instead, we create that context when we hold each other, wherein we identify and recognize that adaptability, right? That ability of working through something, it becomes like often the energy that feels like it's struggling under the weight of it is often the energy that is doing it perfectly. Because when you're constantly worried that you're carrying something wrong, it's usually a sign that you're carrying it just right. Because if you're worried that you're carrying it wrong, it means you understand the significance and and this is all that again, the Mars and Leo, right? When you carry something carefully or you're worried about it, it's because you love it and because you recognize that it's an honor to carry it. And so I just keep on seeing that there's a lot of that work as it relates across the frequencies in being able to look towards one another and say, am I doing it right? And the energy saying to one another, you're doing it perfectly because you ask questions like that. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and receiving it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my site. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a personal reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. A couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who was part of our recent class on the Hangman. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, May 14th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies in the tarot with a focus on the death card. It's not that scary, I promise. We are going to study the history of the card, the symbology of the card. I'm going to work you guys through spread applications, how you can read the card in any direction it may appear in your spreads. I'm also going to show you guys a unique spread you can take back with you to help channel the messages of the death card into your own readings. And all you need to do, if you would like to become a part of that class program, is mosey on over and become a subscriber to my Substack. Your subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a paid monthly subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive. Now, it's not necessary to catch up. I'm going to do my best to give you a recap on everything we've studied prior to that class beginning. But if you wanted to catch up, this is the perfect time to join. You have a couple weeks to bone up on any of those classes. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions you may have in relation to anything we have studied or are currently learning. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also receive full access to the entirety of the Tarot Church Library Archive. That is access to over 13 hours worth of material in an ever-expanding library. You will also have access to a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will meet with you personally and assess where you are on your tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your impact towards your personal tarot goals. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. I also post my Mystic Meditations articles there, which gives you recaps on everything we've been reading energetically in the cards. And I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my clients seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal, spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very happy to now offer dream interpretation readings. You can purchase these individually per dream or as a series. I would encourage that if you purchase the series, that you start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages. And we will do this again tomorrow.